Let's call the meeting to order. Everyone, please stand. We'll do the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Linda, would you call the roll, please?
Councilor Boland?
Here.
Councilor Fisher?
Here.
Councilor Furlow?
Here.
Councilor Grizzle?
Here.
And Councilor Reeskamp?
Here.
Mayor Aziz is absent this evening.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting? Okay, I need approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a moval and a second to approve the council meetings. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, the council meeting has been approved. Now, before we get to the consent calendar, there's one item that we have taken off of the agenda. It's agenda item number 6 will be pulled from tonight's agenda. Okay, then the consent calendar. The following items are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items unless a councilor so requests. In this case, the items will be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. Now, the items on the consent calendar tonight is the agenda for the Lebanon City Council, December 12, 2018. Appointments, the Art Commission, we have Vanessa Smith and Floyd Fisher. Board minutes for the Library Advisory Committee of September 11, 2018. Certified election results, City Clerk's statement, and Lynn County's abstract of votes. And we have a deed for SEPO's quitclaim deed.
I move to approve the consent calendar as amended with the amended agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, the agenda consent calendar passes. Okay, next we move into some introductions tonight. We have 2 new employees that are very responsible positions with the city, and I'm going to turn this over to City Manager Gary.
Mr. Council President, members of the council, you will recall that you and I have had a few discussions about filling these positions, and in the case of the Economic Development Catalyst position, we had to go out twice because we weren't getting enough applicants. So to be here tonight and to be able to tell you that we think we've got a terrific individual for that position in Alicia Rogers. Alicia, would you please stand? As you know, Alicia has been working as the manager for the Downtown Association, and we're just so pleased to invite her and welcome her onto our team. Alicia has a background working with the Boulder Falls organization and with a nonprofit in Corvallis, as well as her position with the Downtown Association. She has a degree in marketing and international business from Oregon State. And so she's one sharp gal, and I think she comes to us in a really prepared position. She's built a network throughout our community as the downtown manager. I think that'll come in very useful to her. And so we're excited to have Alicia join our team on January 2nd. So, Alicia. And then our next individual is Lori O'Mara, and Lori will be filling, or has filled the position of our Human Resource Director. She's working in tandem right now with Debbie Shimon, and as you know, Debbie is scheduled to retire on the 28th. So there's some exchange of information going on right now, but Lori comes to us with an extensive background in human resources. She has a degree in human resource management and a degree in management from Portland State. She has experience as a Human Resources Manager for a company in Salem. Her most recent position was in Human Resources for the City of Albany. And we've spent just a few days with her now, and we're just really tickled to have her on board. We think she's going to do a fantastic job, and we only had to go out once to fill this position, so I'm feeling really good about that. So welcome, Lori.
Okay, well, congratulations to you young ladies. Now, next, I don't know what's going on here. We've got a recognition. Am I going to recognize myself or what?
We
No,
have
acting.
Counselor Reese.
I'm going to do that for you.
Okay.
Lloyd, would you come up, please? Well, Floyd, we go back some time. I'm not sure we want to talk about the number of years, but I'm going to talk about yours. Floyd, it's been 24 years since you joined the City Council in 1995, and it is amazing that an individual like yourself or any other one that would come and serve your citizens for that length of time. But it was a nice ride that we had together, and I'm sorry to see you go. But but we have a plaque here. It is in recognition of your appreciation for 24 years of commitment, accomplishments, or contributions to the city of Lebanon. And we thank you a whole bunch. We need to get a photo up here.
Okay,
Hang on to this plaque.
okay. How do we do this?
That's good, just like that. Thanks, Floyd.
Thank you very much.
Wayne, we go back a long ways.
Yes, we do, much before city council.
Yes.
Bob and I worked in the timber industry for years and years. But Bob, in recognition of your service in Ward 3, you came on the council in 2003 to 2008. That's 16 years of service that you've given to the city on just the city council. And I know you've served in a lot of other capacities within your community, and you are to be just applauded for what you've done over your years. And I know that you're going to continue to do that as long as health and everything stays together. So in appreciation and recognition for your 26 years of commitment, or 16 years, I'm sorry, and accomplishments and contribution to the city of Lebanon, we have a plaque that recognizes that.
Oh, okay.
Including your council president 2009.
Well, that's very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. We're going to put that over there, Gary. Very nice. I appreciate that, and I know Floyd does too. Okay, now that we're through with that stuff, next we have a presentation, Live Longer Lebanon presentation by Deb Fell Carlson.
I thought Wyatt was going to be here to tell us how angry you were about Alicia, but you're actually here for, that's part of this presentation? Okay.
Honestly, it was a great poach, and it was the best way we could have.
Okay.
So it's not just me. I'm here with two esteemed colleagues. So I'm Deborah Fell Carlson.
Is your microphone on?
It is on. Lean back in your ears. Okay. My name is Deb Fell Carlson, and I'm a registered nurse, and I'm the co-lead for Live Longer Lebanon.
I'm Wyatt King. I'm co-lead of Live Longer Lebanon.
Hi, Jeannie Davis, also with Live Longer Lebanon and Comp Northwest.
Yes. So some of you remember the whole Blue Zones thing. So Live Longer Lebanon is the result of that we're going to do it ourselves thing. So we're a multidisciplinary health improvement coalition, and we formed in large part to support the health goals of the community strategic plan. There were some community health goals that weren't being addressed, and so we wanted to take those on. We have about anywhere from 17 to 20 partners that regularly attend, representing about 10 organizations, and our mantra is to help Lebanon thrive with healthier, happier lives. We are working sector by sector. As you remember with the whole Blue Zones model, they looked at all the different sectors and they were going to take them on all at once. Well, we couldn't do that. So we're starting with schools, moving into faith communities, just gradually, it's just sort of happening on its own. So we have been, we realized that our kids can't learn unless they have their basic needs met. So we've helped the school district launch some initiatives that kind of helps with some of those social determinants of health. And one of those, which was actually in today's paper, was the Welcome Center. And in a lot of cases, the ideas that kind of percolate up in our group, they take on their own life form, and they actually get launched, and then they go away, which I think is really good. And so then we just, I don't know that we designed it that way, but that's sort of how it happened. So we have limited time, and I'm not going to say too much more. You have materials in your binder. You've got just kind of a fact sheet of what's been going on. This is sort of our philosophy. There were some issues we had with the Power 9 that Blue Zones had, like everyone should drink at 5, which we have enough trouble with that here. Just general substance abuse. So we changed some of those things up. So this is the product of that. That's in your packet. We have a flyer for a 5210 challenge that's coming up, and we'll have more about that. And I'm going to stop and let Wyatt share.
For sure. Thank you, Deb. In addition to the Welcome Center helping out on collaborating and brainstorming what they did, helping them get volunteers for that, and in addition to the 5210 challenge that Jeannie will talk about more, there are a bunch of things that we're doing, but we're really excited to be helping out the city with the 2040 plan. When we met, was it January of last year? It seems like forever ago. They got all the stakeholders in the 2040 plan together. There were some items that weren't really being addressed, and I ran my mouth, and luckily Deb and everybody else agreed that we could help out on some of the health and wellness issues. So some of the direct ones that we're impacting: 10.2, educate the public about utilizing the healthcare system through a collaboration of healthcare providers and nonprofits. It's literally what we are. 6.1, complete a community audit. That's something that we're going to help in the future. 9.1, provide a variety of engaging events and activities for the community, including an annual health and wellness fair. And 9.2, continue to participate in efforts to reduce childhood obesity. 9.3, audit the existing public and private health opportunities. Finally, 9.4, promote access and availability of local healthy food options. So beyond that, some of the things that we're helping out with is Deb is spearheading an effort in faith-based nursing, which gives every faith community a medical resource. You know, not some place where they can go and get dialysis or anything like that, but if you're unsure if your flu is bad enough.
Promotion. Yeah, a resource, a health resource.
Mm-hmm. And she's already done training or lining up
We
training?
did our first training. We had 4 local folks come out of that training. So we'll be having more of those. And we'll have faith community nurses as well as health ministers. So they won't all be nurses, because I think you don't have to be a nurse to provide spiritual support.
On that same trend of partnering up with the faith communities, Tyler Grove, one of our members, has launched Be Undivided, which is a school and faith community partnership. And it doesn't have any, converting or recruiting for the church or anything like that. It's purely an opportunity for churches to demonstrate their faith through service by helping the schools tackle some of the challenges they face. Right now, Tyler is developing a mentorship program, which is going to help at-risk kids get the good, mature adult guidance that they need to be able to succeed in life. We're hoping to go even beyond that with Be Undivided to increase the different volunteer opportunities for church members. We're working with the Downtown Association to bring the churches in to help out on Community Pride Day by focusing on cleaning up both the churches and the schools in town. Beyond that, we hope to in the future leverage further the Be Undivided and the different garden programs that our schools have to get to the point where every school has a fully functioning school garden that is part of the curriculum as well as providing food to the kids. And we hope to expand that even further to where there are community garden plots available at all of the schools and all of the churches so that everyone in town will have within walking distance a place where they can grow their own food and have healthy access.
And we're promoting the Porter Park Garden.
Park Garden, of course. And then finally, and Deb and I, this is kind of our pipe dream that after we accomplish all this we want to do, we're really hoping to be a spearhead for the community in disaster and emergency prep. We've all heard about the quake and we know that we should do stuff, and we hope to take Live Longer Lebanon in a direction where we're instilling a culture of preparedness throughout our community. And so those are just some of the things that we talk about at our meetings, but those are the big ones. But I better turn it over to Jeannie to talk about 5210.
Okay. So what we're currently doing, the 5210 challenge, is centered around healthy eating and habits. It's been used in many schools and businesses for several years, so we got a hold of the program, which you guys all have information about that. And the focus is on eating 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day, limiting leisure screen time. So I know last year we did the summit on screen time, so this kind of bridges into that as well. Less than 2 hours of leisurely time, 1 hour of physical activity, and consuming 0 sugary drinks, so no sodas and that kind of stuff. We started this program last year with the School District Challenge. Within our school district, we had over 300 students participate in this challenge. They logged in their servings and everything they did throughout the week, and Green Acres School won. So we were very impressed with Green Acres School. And they were able to receive a banner, a 5210 banner that they hang in their school as the winners. We've also presented this same program with our Health Career Ladder program that we have at the medical school. So we bring students in that are 6th grade through high school, and one of our curriculum days we did the 5210 challenge with those students as well. So we're keeping that going with all of the kids in our community. This year, our challenge for the school district will be 1 week, and it'll be the week of February 4th through 10th. But our goal is why we're here today, is to open it up community-wide, to have community participate for the entire month of February. The entire month of February is Heart Health Month, so we thought that was very appropriate. Teams can sign up, businesses can sign up. I'm thinking first-year medical students compete against second-year medical students, something like that. We have a website. You could go in, track your hours, your servings, your exercise activity. And the goal of the challenge is just to get the highest score in 30 days. We haven't decided how we're going to promote the winners as we do this community outreach, but that's kind of our goal to do hopefully this year, is to start that entire community challenge in February.
Can I add one word about the website?
Of course.
So the website is under reconstruction right now. It's live. You can go in there and log in, but bad things will happen to you because it's the old website. So the new website is going to hold the same domain address, and it should go live within the next 2 weeks, and it's going to be hosted by the Willamette Valley Physicians Group up in Salem. So Salem Health actually holds they're kind of the hub for the materials. So if you go into the website now, that's not good. So
we'll send that out.
Put something out on our Facebook
Yeah.
when it's live. Yeah.
We'll get that out to everyone.
Perfect. Hey, and so as the 5210 challenge directly impacts the health of our community, we really are coming here to ask for the city's support in making this a community-wide challenge. The 5210 challenge is about instilling the best practices in health and wellness. Before you get to my point where if there's anything in the fridge, you're going to eat it, we want to help the kids learn, hey, 5 or more servings of fruits and veggies, get an hour of less than 2 hours of leisure screen time, 1 hour or more of physical activity, and the big one, zero sugary drinks. Because those empty calories are what get you, and they're too easy to do. So we're hoping that not only can we instill the best practices in our kids as they grow up and just naturally live healthy lives, we want to make this a community-wide challenge. So some of those like me that really need the reminder of, put the Coke down. You don't need the Mountain Dew either. We can start getting that in front of everybody because it really is easy. You know, if you just do a little bit every day as far as exercise, you cut down on the empty calories, you feed in some more broccoli and carrots and that kind of stuff, it really is easy to live a healthier life. And as this impacts the focus area of healthy communities, it impacts several of our health initiatives as well as directly impacting 10.2, 9.1, and 9.2. We're here to humbly request that the City Council adopt a resolution supporting the adoption of 5210 Challenge as Lebanon's annual health and wellness challenge.
Where do we go from here? I look around the table and I see 4 of these calorie drinks here. Shame,
So that's a
shame.
yes.
Boom.
Okay.
And I'm at fault for bringing
Does the council have any questions or any thoughts of what they want to do?
So really, you're just asking for us to endorse your project,
Correct.
period.
Needs to be by resolution.
We don't know the appropriate terms. I'm just going off of memory. Yeah, endorse is fine.
Endorse, yes.
We're not looking
Yeah.
for any money. We're not looking for any volunteers, although those would be great. We're just looking for support from the city.
I'd be all in favor of that. I think it's great.
Amen to
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Maybe we could have a proclamation
There you go.
in January so we could kick the thing
Kick it off,
well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I like that.
something that we read at council in January, declaring February, kicking that off would be great.
I think that's a good idea. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for everything. That's a great project. It's a lot of work you're doing.
It's a lot of fun. Wait till you see the Green Acres videos. We just had 3rd graders that were eating broccoli and carrots.
But they were throwing candy at us, so that's.
I like this kid who's eating right in this garden right here. I don't even like kids, and this one this one's cute.
Well, thank you.
You want that on our website?
Put it in
Now-
the minutes.
Now, next on the agenda is public comments. The council welcomes all respectful comments regarding the city business. Citizens may address the council by approaching the microphone, signing in, and stating their name and address for the record. Each citizen is provided up to 5 minutes to provide comments to the council. The council may take an additional 2 minutes to respond. The city clerk will accept and distribute written comments at a speaker's request. Do we have anyone that would like to address? Okay. Come forward.
Hello, everyone. I'm
Hi.
Alicia.
Alicia?
I'm with the Lebanon Downtown Association tonight, and I wrote some notes down here. Just wanted to give you guys an update on some things that we've had going on over the last month. We had Small Business Saturday, which was the 24th of November, and there's great participation downtown. You definitely tell people we're shopping local, and the businesses were staying open and doing different things to try and get people to come into their stores. So it's great to see all those shops thriving. And then also Holidays in the Park was the first Saturday in December. We had the Jingle Bell Run that morning. It wasn't as well attended as we had hoped, but it is the first year. We had 19 people come for that, and we did a mile walk, and it was fun. James Wright from NTech, who was one of the sponsors of the event, as well as Comp Northwest, came and did a little video of the people that participated, so that was a lot of fun. And we actually had a gal from Fort Worth, Texas, who was here visiting her parents and very bummed that she missed the Jingle Bell Walk in Fort Worth, which apparently is huge. So she actually came to our walk wearing a Jingle Bell Run shirt from Texas. I thought that was really neat, and her dad had told her that he saw it in the newspaper, and so she just showed up on that morning to participate. So it's nice to see that there's people that will notice that and then come to those events. And then what's going on right now with Downtown Association through the month of December is a window decorating contest downtown. And that participation has just blown us away. There's been 53 businesses downtown that have decorated their windows in some way, shape, or form, whether that be lights and trees or window painting or a combination. and people have gotten really creative with the theme of the fairy tale Christmas. So if anybody hasn't been downtown, I really recommend going down there and looking at those window displays. We are doing a People's Choice Award. The Lebanon Arts Commission is helping to judge some of the other categories like best use of theme and just best overall decoration. We'll have a Mayor's Choice Award for that as well. So that'll all be on our Facebook page when we announce that, but all the pictures are posted there. So if you go on there, you can vote via Facebook.
That historic downtown, the BLT walk that they did as part of the Holidays in the Park was so much fun. I was blown away, and we got to tour the Donica House here on just one, is it one block over this way, one block, right behind us here. Yeah. Oh, it was amazing. I just was, that whole event was so great.
I really want to work with them and see if there can be something that's developed more of a historic walking tour and involve the senior center or BLT or something where it can be more of a regular type thing and just help educate about our historic downtown.
It was so much fun. Yeah, you could expand that so much.
Yeah, Alicia, the Twilight Parade. Didn't we have a bigger procession this year than what we've had before?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There
was
quite a few more entries. It was really neat to see that through downtown. I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I want to say it might have been close to double the entries as the year before.
It looked like it to me.
Yeah, it was great participation. It was great that the weather held out. It was cold, but it wasn't wet, so that part was nice.
That's right. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Alicia. Anyone else would like to come forward? Need to sign in your name and address.
Yes, sir.
And talk right into the mic.
So in the past, I said I've been brief. I'll be brief, and then I use my whole 5 minutes. We'll see how I do tonight.
Okay, we'll see.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the council members who were recognized tonight. It's inspiring as someone who's trying to bring something community-minded to my hometown to see folks who have put in so many years in similar efforts. It really, really does motivate me. So I wanted to say thank you to you guys. As far as Guitars Under the Stars, I brought some printed materials tonight that can be shared. I think what probably makes the most sense is maybe for me to correspond with Gary and maybe get Wayne in the conversation, since he's probably been involved in the event more than some of the other folks. And we can talk about, between now and the next council meeting, what things perhaps the city can do to support us. And we can put together a proposal that you guys can make a decision on after the New Year's is over. I mean, at this point, obviously, I've made my intentions known that we're going to be coming to the council for some support for next year. I'm very, very happy that we're able to keep the event here in Lebanon. It's exciting to me that we were able to find options that didn't involve moving it towards the population center like so many had said that we would need to do to be successful. I don't believe that's the case. I believe we can build it right here. So I will correspond with Gary, and that's really all I have for today.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to come forward? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward here. And next we have 2 public hearings. So, good evening. This is the time and place to set for the public hearing in the matter of planning file number 18-09-39, a zone map amendment request by Brad Buckmaster to establish the highway commercial zone on 1.35 acres of land located adjacent to the South Santiam Highway. Your patience is appreciated as our city attorney goes through the required hearing procedures.
The council will follow the quasi-judicial hearing procedures set forth in ORS 197.763. Those procedures are posted on the wall in 2 locations. If you have any questions, please ask. At the commencement of the hearings, we will ask all councilors to announce any ex parte contact or conflicts of interest. Ex parte contact is contact with anyone outside the meeting or with the property itself. A conflict of interest is when a counselor or a member of the counselor's family stands to profit from the outcome of the decision. We will then have the staff report. It will be presented. It should include information which staff believes is relevant to the identified criteria from the city's comprehensive plan or land use regulation, which staff believes to be relevant to the issues of the hearing. Questions of the staff will then be allowed by counselors. We will open it up to public testimony. Audience may provide oral or written testimony. I do want to note that a failure to raise an issue, including constitutional issues or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval, if any, accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the council or parties an opportunity to respond to the issue, precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals. We will allow testimony of witnesses. We will start with the proponents, then the opponents, and rebuttal, if any. We'll then close the public hearing. The public hearing will be closed and will be deliberation by City Council only. No new evidence will be allowed. Discussion will be limited to the City Council and staff. A decision is normally made this evening. The decision will be either to approve the application where the council has found the criteria has been met, or deny the application if the council finds the applicant has not sustained the burden of proof. The council may approve an application with conditions for approval which are supported by the facts in the case and the land use plans or regulations. If there are no questions, you can open the hearing and ask for any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest.
Okay, thank you, Trey. The hearing is now open at 6:30 p.m. Is there anyone in the audience that objects to the notice that was sent in this case or to the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case? Seeing none, do any councilors wish to declare ex parte contact, conflict, or bias? Seeing none, will the Community Development Director please present his staff report? And this is Walt Wondolowski. Did you hear that? I got that last name right.
Got it.
After all these years.
It took you a while, but I'm proud of you. Members of the council, you have a zone change in front of you. I'll keep this very brief. Your packet includes a map where the property is located.
Is your mic on, Walt?
Real? Is this a little better? Wow,
Yeah,
holy moly.
much better.
Jeez, okay. Let me push that back a bit. This is a fairly straightforward zone change. Your packet includes the ordinance as well as all the findings in support of this request. Also includes a map for the location. The property is located along South Santiam Highway. It is currently zoned, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, neighborhood commercial. The applicant simply wishes to go from neighborhood commercial to highway commercial. There's no concurrent development project. I will note that this does not require a plan map amendment. It applies to both zones. And given its location adjacent to the highway, I think it makes far more sense to be a highway commercial zone, and it still allows them to develop the property in a manner that can serve the neighborhood. The Planning Commission reviewed this at their November 28th meeting, and it is their unanimous recommendation that the City Council approve the zone change.
Does council have any questions of staff? No? Is there going to be an applicant here tonight, Walt?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this matter? Seeing none, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? If applicable, please ask for, well, this doesn't apply. Anyone that is opposed to it? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed at 6:33 p.m. All further discussion will be limited to the council and city staff at this time. Council discussion, anything to discuss on this?
Nope.
No questions. Okay. Trey, would the city attorney please read the title of ordinance number?
Ordinance Bill Number 2018-15, Ordinance Number 2922, a bill amending the Lebanon zoning map to establish the Highway Commercial Zone, File 18-09-39, Brad Buckmaster.
Move for approval. Second.
Okay, we have a move for approval and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Okay, we have another public hearing. This is the time and place set for the public hearing in the matter of planning file number 18-09-34, Transportation System Plan and amendments to the Comprehensive Plan and Development Code. Now, I think everyone heard Trey read the ordinance through here, so I don't think we need to do it again unless anyone wants him to do it again.
Please, God.
I'm sure the answer to that is no. And it's not necessarily subject to the quasi-judicial procedures for this one.
Okay, this hearing is now open at 6:34 p.m. Is there anyone in the audience that objects to the notice that was sent in this case or to the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case? Seeing none, do any counselors wish to declare ex parte contact, conflict, or bias? No. Okay. Will the Community Development Director please present the staff report?
This is going to take a little while to go through this, so please bear with me. No, I'm joking. This is volume 2. So, I'm sorry, it's getting close to Christmas. You got to do something here. Okay.
So funny, so funny.
Okay. This whole project started out in 2016, and I want to thank DLCD and ODOT for their kind assistance. We also got a grant to get this done, and it's been very helpful for the community. And this is putting together our new transportation system plan. Now I'm going to provide a brief overview this evening, and we have Rhea Flayakowski from DKS, and she's going to provide a little PowerPoint presentation to walk you through the procedures. We are here to answer any questions you may have, and certainly hope you find this, I'm not going to belabor points here, but try to get through this thick document as quickly as possible. No, seriously. In your packet, you have the ordinance for adoption. You also have the transportation system plan. I will note that this is in 2 volumes. Volume 1 is 78 or so pages, and is the basic document that will be guiding staff on the future of transportation. The second document, 531 pages plus contents, covers all the technical background information and is basically a summary of all the work done by the consultant, public meetings, various committees that we had to put this together. So this is our background document, and if so adopted tonight, this will be included as well. The TSP looks at a multimodal system, which is a fancy way of saying not everyone just drives a car, but people walk, bicycle, and now we have transit. And so there's different ways of getting around the city. We're looking at how this will impact this community for the next 20 years, and all these factors were taken into account. I'd like to just touch on a few highlights here. We're expected to grow up to about 28,000 plus by 2040. That's a lot of folks. But also we are expecting to have 1 job per household, roughly. So that means instead of people maybe working elsewhere, they're going to be working around town. So we see that as an advantage. As expected, there's going to be some issues with transportation. If we don't do anything, there's going to be crowded intersections. A lot of people will not be able to walk to various destinations. Bicycle safety will certainly decline. Generally, things will get worse. This plan identified 175 different projects to address these issues, including infrastructure, safety concerns, bicycle, pedestrian, and transit. The downside of this is that to do all the projects in current dollars is about $232 million. I recognize you do not want to put out a bond measure next year for that. That's a lot of money. We estimate over the term of the TSP, there will be about $44 million coming into the city coffers that can handle these transportation projects. I want to note that we put all 175 projects in the TSP recognizing you never know where money could come from. And if you don't have it in your plan, you can't apply for it. So you never know when that special project, safe walks to schools might come along where you can take advantage of it because you do have it in your plan. Overall, I'd like to say that this is a very physically responsible TSP. It looks at things that we can do without spending a lot of money. It is prioritized that hit the key important areas, and also, again, some emphasis on bicycles and pedestrians. Also to note that, if I recall, I think all of the intersection issues involve state highway. So in many respects, there's going to be funding. If they need to be fixed, there's going to be some funding from the state at that point. I will note that probably the preeminent project in the current TSP was the West Side Bypass. That West Side Bypass has exploded in terms of costs. We've been kicking around numbers of $60 to $70 million to do it now, and we don't even think that includes the wetland mitigation cost, and we didn't see that as being very wise use of public funds. So instead, we looked at a series of connecting collectors on the west side that will get people around the west side of the city if they wish to. Also, we have a very nice downtown that's grown, and it'd be really nice to make sure people look at that on the way to the mountains. Just think of Sisters, for example. So also, one of the other issues we looked at was the issue of a truck route. It turns out that due to design constraints and traffic flows, we really cannot change the truck route. So that, at least for the foreseeable future, will be where it is located. Otherwise, there were no major issues, projects, or anything that were really identified that we needed to work with. Again, this is a 2-volume transportation system plan. We're also amending the comprehensive plan. The current plan, let's see, I put it down here someplace. Current plan contains 24 pages, 86 separate policies, 5 additional recommendations, and also includes a lengthy summary of the TSP. We've really streamlined it, cut the number of policies in half, and really just provide a brief summary. What's important for the city staff is the plan itself and also the background information. Also, we are making amendments to our development code, and these are included in the findings and also your packet. I would like to note that due to a lot of work conducted in the 2008 development code update, there were very few changes that had to be made. We made sure there was consistency between the plan and also our development code, and I think the only major changes had to do with recognizing the importance of transit and transit routes. The TSP itself must comply with Goal 12 and Oregon Administrative Rules. Both ODOT and DLCD have been part of this project from the beginning. They basically vetted all the work. There were 0 issues from either. Well, actually, there might have been 1 or 2. We resolved those. By the time we got to the Planning Commission, no letters of opposition or concern from those agencies. Also, again, the findings cover in greater detail, making sure we comply with our development code. Planning Commission reviewed this, and I would have to say is one of the lengthier reviews I've been to. They were very interested in what's going on, and after deliberations, it is their recommendation unanimously that the City Council adopt the TSP and also amend the comprehensive plan and development code. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Rhea. She will provide a summary of the process and will be available for any questions you may have. Unless there are questions right now. I'm sorry, Bob.
Any questions from the council at this point?
You mean you didn't bring us a copy each of that?
I think Linda would have killed me just to be... Yes, yes. Yes. But you're welcome to look at it anytime.
I don't need a copy. If
Okay.
I want to look at it, I know where you're at.
There you go. Thank you. Okay. Anything
Okay,
else?
thank you, Walt.
Okay. I'm going to ask the...
I'll get my own, thanks.
Do you want water?
No.
Hey. It's a high water day there.
Good evening. I'm Maria Flisakowski with DKS Associates, 720 Southwest Washington, Portland, Oregon 97201. Just to be official. So thank you everyone for having me here tonight. I'm going to be somewhat redundant to some of the things that Walt already said, but I think that's going to be okay. My presentation is still pretty short tonight. I just want to make sure I hit all the highlights so you guys can make an informed decision this evening. Sure.
Linda, can you dim the lights?
Oh.
Dim the lights. Here we go.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
better.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's advancing by itself. Hold on, I just want to make sure. Well, just it's going by itself. Is that like on timer? Okay. All right, thank you. Go to the first slide. So I just want to remind everyone, why are we adopting a new transportation system plan? The last one was updated back in 2007, so that doesn't really sound like a long time ago, but it was 11 years ago. It's almost 12 years ago. A lot's changed in your city since then. I mean, you guys know you've had quite a bit of growth. The campuses are really growing. There's a lot of new neighborhoods that have been added in the last 11 years, and your downtown's really becoming more revitalized since then as well. So I've seen a lot of changes the last 3 years while I've been working on this plan. Oh, dang it. Sorry, it's advancing. It can't show you without me telling it. I'll just talk faster. All right. All right, sorry. Yeah. So it's also required by the OAR and the transportation planning rule that every city of your size has an adopted transportation system plan. So we're fulfilling that. It does serve as the transportation element of your comprehensive plan. As Walt had mentioned, the comp plan will have a reference to this adopted plan. It provides your long-range direction for development in the city for all modes. So this is something that Walt will be taking to pre-application meetings. He'll be talking to developers. I mean, it's really going to be his basis for future funding and guiding where the transportation system goes in the future. It's also a basis for grant applications. Again, as Walt had mentioned, there's a lot of funding out there today, especially for pedestrian, bicycle, transit, and safety projects. And when you fill out a grant application, one of the first things they'll ask you is it in an adopted plan? And if it is, you get like 20 points. That's just right off the bat. So just having this adopted plan that's gone through vetting in the community is a big deal for finding some new funding sources. Then it was also an opportunity to coordinate with some regional partners and to also reflect your community values. So we had a lot of input with the counties and other adjacent cities as well. So, okay, thank you. So quickly, here's where we are. The TSP started back in the winter of 2016. We went through some data gathering and collecting, listening to the community and getting input from them. And then we moved on to looking at what all the future needs would be, coming up with what the projects would be and evaluating those. And then as you can see, we're at the end where we are recommending what the plan is, and we're at the final hearing. So that's where the little red arrow is there on that schedule. Okay. Thank you. So just a quick summary of the public involvement. We have had a project website the entire time. And at the beginning, about the first year of the project, we had an online map where you could go and click on anywhere in the city, and then you could leave a little note or a tag saying, my kids walk here and we need sidewalks, or this is the way I ride my bike on the weekends, or this is where I drive and it feels like it takes a really long time to get through that intersection. So we were able to gather a lot of community input that way for people that maybe weren't willing to come out to the open houses. So that was a really great tool. And then we also used it to advertise events, and there was copies of all of the memos and outcomes that we had throughout the process, that big 500 pages that Walt has. Other than the data that's in that, all of that has been available to the public on the website the entire time. We also had 3 public open houses right here at the Travel Center. They weren't as tended as highly as Walt and I would have liked, but they were still good. We had them, and we had some good conversations with some people. We had one planning commission work session about halfway through and got some input from them. We also had a city council work session with you guys, if you remember, not too long ago, though maybe a year ago, last February, I think, about then.
About a year.
Yeah, about a year, yeah. So getting input from you as well. We had 5 project advisory committee meetings, and that was a group of both residents and business owners here in Lebanon representing their various interests. Those were great meetings. We got a lot of good feedback from them. And then we also had 4 technical advisory committee meetings. So those would be people from, ODOT traffic, ODOT rail, the counties, engineer, the technical people at the other agencies. So we could have a more, technical conversation with them on our findings and our recommendations. Okay, thanks. So I just wanted to guide you guys a little bit through the document. So that first chapter starting on page 3, we call it the process, but that's really just the purpose of the TSP. Kind of our decision-making structure, and it describes what I just showed you, how our public outreach went. Thanks. And then the next section, the Lebanon 2017, is really an executive summary version of this, and it also has a summary of the existing conditions and our funding memos that were up at the beginning. Thanks. And there was just a couple current conditions, really high level, I wanted to mention here tonight. For walking, the gaps in the sidewalk system are most common in the southwest and the southeast areas of the city. And then, of course, on the rural segments that are around kind of the fringe of the city, that's really where we see it's hard to walk. But the quality of walking network is relatively high around downtown. You have a really nice sidewalk system, and it's very walkable. And the vast majority of pedestrian-involved collisions were caused by drivers failing to yield the right-of-way pedestrians in a crosswalk or on a sidewalk. So that is something that we looked at in more detail just to see what's causing that and what we can do to help that. And then for biking, there are some significant segments of continuous bike lanes along all the major arterials in town, so that's good. Most of the crashes involving a cyclist were caused by drivers failing to yield the right-of-way when turning. And I would say that's pretty typical. It's a lot of times where drivers just aren't used to looking for bikes to the right of them, and then when they're making a right turn and the bike is going straight, it's really difficult. So again, that's something we dug into a bit, making sure that the city has, the appropriate standards for making sure bike lanes are striped correctly through intersections, so we can start alleviating that a bit. And an opportunity here is you guys have great flat topography. You have a very flat city. You have a really nice grid. I see a lot of opportunity as people want to start biking more and as the city grows, that we could have a really nice marked bike route system here in the city, and it'd be really easy to get around for short trips because the city's just not that big. You can ride from one end of town to the other on a bike 15 minutes, maybe beat traffic as things grows too. So I see a lot of opportunity for that. Thanks. Okay, for driving, I thought this was interesting. More than 60% of the workers in Lebanon either live in another city, live in another city that is more than 10 miles away. And maybe that doesn't surprise you, but that's a lot, I think. So we end up getting a lot of long trips and encouraging travel by motor vehicle. That's just too far. Let's see. You experience on average about 160 vehicle crashes a year, though the severity of most of those was generally low. So 84% were just property damage or a minor injury, so that is good. So the flip side is it was only 16% that would be more of a severe injury. 9 intersections, as we went through our safety analysis, were noted as having a high crash rate, so that's something we also looked into to see if there were any countermeasures or projects that we needed to add to address those. And then today, all the study intersections that we looked at met the mobility targets during your peak summer hour. So as far as today, everything works great. And then transit, at the time of when we did our work a couple years ago, the only bus stop that we could even find doing our doing our field work was the one near US 20 at the community college. The rest are all pretty much hidden. There's not a shelter. There's not a sign. And I know that's something that will be coming with the new transit service that you provided, that the bus stops will come up to standard as well. And then, yeah, most transit users in the city were more than a half a mile away from the bus stops. But again, that was back a couple years ago when we did that. I know there's new route work now. So, okay. The next section is what we call the vision, starting on page 16. And that's a summary of the community vision, goals, and objectives for the transportation system. And those are kind of a mix of what's in the current TSP and then with feedback from the community. And then other modern TSPs that I work on, we were able to kind of bring those up to standard to what the new community goals would be. Okay. And then the next section, starting on page 21, Lebanon 2040. That summarizes our growth assumptions, and then it also has a summary version of some future conditions analysis that we did. And Walt touched on this a little bit, and here's a snapshot of a table that is in the TSP. So from our traffic modeling purposes, we look at numbers from 2010 to the year 2040 and look at that 30-year increment. So you can see population growth, as Walt said, up to about 28,000 people. That's a 55% growth. But what's more interesting is the employment growth, so up to almost 12,000 jobs, which really does start to have a much better balance between households and jobs. I mean, right now you probably really do feel like you're a bedroom community. A lot of people live here because it's a great place to be, but they can't always find the job that they want here. There's just not the supply. But the trend is that a lot of jobs will be coming here and you'll have a lot better balance. And land use planners love that. If you can have that balanced, it really helps control traffic. So there'll be a lot of people that don't have to drive really far anymore to get to work, and vice versa. Maybe people will even work here but not live here, and you can kind of get that, that reverse of traffic going the other way as well. So I think that's great. The next section is the project list, starting on page 25. I hope you weren't overwhelmed by the length of that list with those hundreds of projects. Oh, can you go back? Sorry. That's okay. Oh, and I just wanted to note, too, that a transportation development plan was done a couple of years ago with Kendra, and all of the findings out of that plan are incorporated into our TSP. So we didn't do any detailed transit work because that was being done concurrently with this plan, and we just folded in their findings. So for 2040, we did forecast what we thought the available funding would be for the transportation system based on several things. One, looking back the last 5 years of what the city has collected in the past. You get gas tax and various things like that come in. Also looking at the amount of growth that I was showing you earlier with the jobs and the households. We applied your current system development charges to that because, if those houses are built and those jobs come, they'll have to pay their SDC's fee. So we included those as well. We also are given a non-binding estimate from ODOT of what they think they would have available to spend on the highway, just to give us a target or an idea to put into this type of analysis. And then we also do the same thing with Lynn County. There's quite a few county roads in your growth area, and we have a number from them as well as what would be available to spend. So with all of that, our total is $232 million for the entire project list. Just from the city, we're expecting about $27 million to be spent, and that's only on city facilities. $8.5 million is expected to be available to spend on the highways. And then there's the $9 million for Lynn County facilities. So once we work through all of that, it's almost a $188 million shortfall, which don't be depressed by that. I also think the amount of funding that I am showing looks great. We just have a really long project list. Engineers like to find projects and put big, long tables together. And as Walt had mentioned, it doesn't hurt to have the extra projects. You never know when development's going to come and what that frontage will be. You never know when grant opportunities are going to appear. And you never know, in a couple of years if priorities change a little bit, the city can always make a few changes. So I always think it's better to have more projects than not enough. And then you'll see we have 3 different funding packages that we show in the TSP. So on the maps, the red numbers indicate package 1, and they're also identified in that big table. Those are what we call financially constrained projects. So those are projects that were deemed high priority in our conversations with the community. And also we feel we have identified funding for them. So they're high priority, and we think we can fund them through the year 2040. And then package 2, with the yellow numbers on the figures, are projects that were highly supported, but we run out of money before we get to them, so they're not considered reasonably funded. And then package 3 are the numbers with the white font, and those are what's left. They're either medium or low priority, and we don't feel we're going to have the funds for those. Okay, thank you. So as you see, it's a lot easier, I think, to look at the maps than to go through that big project list. But they're divided into driving and biking and walking projects. The projects that are on the highways or the ODOT facilities, and shown in red are those high priority projects that we assumed that $8.9 million from ODOT could go to. I would say in the future we had several intersections where once all that growth occurs and the traffic volumes go up, they no longer meet the mobility standard. So I don't want to say they're failing, but they have a high enough delay that we know that they would need some sort of capacity improvement. So that's where we applied most of the ODOT money, looking at those locations and saying, does it need a new traffic signal, or does it need maybe just some additional turn lanes so we can get more cars through the intersection and meet that standard. So that's where a lot of the ODOT money went. Some of it's some bike lane infill projects too on the highways. And then for the city, Walt had mentioned that we did test to see if the bypass concept was really needed or not, and we found that it wasn't. We're not in a situation with the level of growth that we're forecasting that downtown and the highway is just blown out and we have to have this bypass or release valve. We really find with just a few spot improvements at those intersections that I just mentioned that we can meet standards and get by just fine. But what we did find we need to do is continuing building out that grid of collectors on the the west side of town to replace that bypass. And I guess I shouldn't say it doesn't bypass it, just good planning is you would like to have collectors every quarter mile. So as the as the west side builds out and there's new development, the city would be looking to have that collector grid built in place just so cars can balance their trips and they have a place to go. And there's a lot of land use and economic opportunities as well of not having the bypass. I think we see more and more cities not wanting to have their bypass, and they do want to have the visitors and that pass-through traffic going through their downtown. I think, if I owned property downtown, I'd want every car to drive by my front door. So I think it's a win-win for a lot of reasons. I think this is much more fiscally responsible, and I think it really helps with what you're doing with your downtown. Thanks. So for walking, what we heard constantly from the community is they want sidewalk infill, and they want it to be safer by the schools and by the parks. And then after that, maybe also connecting so they can get to some commercial areas, like we want to be able to walk or ride or bike downtown, like on the weekends. So a lot of the city projects for pedestrians are focused there. So that's really where you'll see the high priority projects is around the schools and the parks. All right, thanks. And then for biking, a little bit similar, but what we tried to do is look at city facilities that have low volume and low speed, which is what's preferable for bicycles. They don't really want to ride on the highway. They'd rather find a parallel route that's more comfortable for them. So we tried to identify a grid of those preferable streets, maybe in each quadrant, so people could kind of loop around town, but then also have some connections that get them to downtown and some other destinations like the campus. We heard from students that they do want to be able to ride their bikes and get around and not have to own a car or drive it as much as possible. So, all right, thanks. All right, and then we have a section called the standards that starts on page 53. That has our roadway functional classification map. We did make some changes on that. moving some collectors here and there. I think we actually dropped quite a few. The current map's pretty full. We felt like there were maybe too many collector designations. So we cleaned that up just a bit. And then we also reviewed the roadway cross-sections for the city. And the only major change was per the direction of Planning Commission and Walt. The city was interested in adding a new private road cross-section that would only be applicable if there's 16 or fewer units on that roadway. So we came up with a compromise of this. So this is expected to be, so 16, that would be 8 houses on each side. If there was a pretty short street, you could get by with just 2 skinny travel lanes, parking on one side and sidewalk on one side. And the intent really is to let that development save some money and get by with minimal infrastructure for them, keep costs down. And with only 8 houses on eight houses on each side, we felt that this was a good compromise for that size. Right. And then the last section, the improved transportation system, it's just a couple pages. It's actually a fun read, I think. It has kind of a look at 2040 and even beyond and where transportation's going. I don't know how long it'll be till you guys have Uber or Lyft here, but you'd be surprised. This is a small town, but autonomous vehicles are coming as well. They'll be here way before 2040. So just kind of have some food for thought in there on what's going to be changing, really, so you're just prepared. So, okay. All right. I'm open for questions.
Okay, any questions for the staff?
It's a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah, there's been a lot of hours put into that, I can imagine.
I think we also need to commend the Planning Commission for their efforts.
Yes, that's probably true.
You have to be smart to be on the Planning Commission. You don't have to be smart to be on council. But on Planning Commission, that's where all the work is. They do a lot of our heavy lifting.
They sure do.
Quite true. Okay, no further questions, I guess. Thank you for your participation. Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this matter? Seeing none, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Still no one. The public hearing is hereby closed at, 7:06 p.m. All further discussion will be limited to the council and staff at this time. Any discussion from the council? Any questions? Anything you want to discuss?
I think it's good.
Okay, seeing none, will the city attorney please read the title of ordinance number 2923?
Ordinance Bill number 2018-16, ordinance number 2923, a bill establishing the Lebanon Transportation Plan and amending the Lebanon Comprehensive Plan and Lebanon Development Code, file 18-09-34, City of Lebanon.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Okay. And where am I? Now we'll return to the regular session. And item number 3 is the Transit Asset Management Plan approval presented by Kendra Oliver, Senior Service Director. Hi, Kendra.
Good evening, council members. Today I have for you as consideration of a resolution to adopt the Transit Asset Management Plan for the city's transportation program. In order to make things easy, ODOT put this plan together for small rural providers in order to keep all of the inventory accurate. And basically what the plan is, it outlines steps and evaluation tools for providers to plan for future purchases of equipment as they age, as they become a little less reliable, need more repairs and such. We currently have 5 vehicles for our transportation program. I'm happy to say all are at or above the state of good repair. But if you skim through the plan there, you would note the evaluation tools and things that it takes the providers through. It also gives us an opportunity to plan for future grants. For example, grant cycles coming up. I'll be submitting grants for a replacement vehicle here for the next biennium. And we have evaluation tools for each of the vehicles, and it's just really nice to have everything all right here and to be able to plan for that. Did you have any questions about the plan?
Oh, it's nice to have a tool to be able to substantiate and stay on top of assets like that.
Yes.
No questions?
Kendra, all of our bus stops are labeled as such, I assume?
I'm sorry?
Labeled as a bus stop?
All of our bus stops?
Yes.
So the one that she was referring to, so we have our Dial-A-Bus, which is a demand response program. We implemented the deviated fixed route last May, and that includes some fixed stopping points. And then we also have the Lynn Shuttle that comes through, and it has 4 stopping points. The one stop that isn't labeled is the Walmart stop, but the other stops are labeled. There's one at the new LBCC facility on 5th Street. There's one at LBCC, and there's also one on Park and Oak.
Are you getting a lot of riders on these?
Oh, we are. Our demand continues to increase with the implementation of the deviated fixed route. It's a more efficient mode of service, and it's really helped take some of the demand off the demand response side of things. The other nice thing about that system is when people are doing their shopping, they know that the bus is going to be here at this time, at this time, and at this time, and it's about every hour. So they can plan it that way versus call the office and ask for a ride, and it could be 5 minutes, it could be up to 30 minutes for them to wait and get a ride. So we're getting a lot of good feedback that they like the new system.
It seems like it's quite a job keeping track of everything.
It is. It is. We have some good staff, so that helps.
Great.
Do our hours change with winter, summer time?
They do not. They remain the same.
Consistent. That's good.
Any other questions from the council? Trey, would you read the resolution, please?
Resolution number 2018-36, a resolution to adopt the Group Transit Asset Management Plan and performance measures.
Move for approval?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, the resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, item number 4 is the Lebanon Bus System Naming Contest results. This is presented by Gary Marks, City Manager, and Kendra Oliver, the Senior Services Director, and I'll turn it over to Gary.
Mr. President, members of the council, as Kendra just addressed, we expanded our bus service in May to a deviated fixed route, to add a deviated fixed route onto our Dial-A-Bus system. As you know, historically, the bus system has just been known as the Dial-A-Bus. Now that we've expanded our service, really we're more than a Dial-A-Bus, but what do we call ourselves? So we saw an opportunity, we staff, that one, we want to help educate the community that there has been this change and to publicize the availability of the service, and then also to find a name and to do it in a way where we're involving the community, and hopefully it's in a way that's a fun event for folks. So in early November, we began taking naming ideas from the public. And as you know, if you've traveled around the country at all, you know that a lot of bus systems and communities have names, and you could probably think of them off the top of your head. And so we thought, well, let's look at that and encourage people to submit. We received 152 entries. So rather than just bring 152 entries here tonight, which would really be unrealistic for you to call through all those and decide what you would do, Kendra, myself, and Bob as the council president and also the council rep to the senior center, we got together yesterday, went through all 152, came up with actually 4, and right after our meeting, one of them kind of fell apart on us. it's complicated. Anyway, so we ended up with three names for you to look at. They all have acronyms that really is probably the thing over time would become what the system is known as. My suggestion too, and in two of them, the acronym doesn't exactly follow the first letter of every word. I'm not sure that's really important. These systems become known by the acronym in many cases. So what we are presenting to you tonight, and these are entries from the public, and whoever is the winner will be announced, and we'll take this back tomorrow morning, go through all the entries, determine who the winning entry is, and we'll probably issue a press release thanking that person, and we have a prize for them too. So anyway, the three names are, the first one is COLTS, COLTS, which stands for City of Lebanon Transit System. The next one, LINX, LINX, Lebanon Inter-Neighborhood Express. You could conjure up in both of those cases maybe future bus graphics of wild horses running or wild lynx running, something like that. I don't know. LIFTS, which kind of sounds English, LIFTS, which stands for Lebanon Intercommunity Fast Transit System. So those are the three names. We didn't want to come to you with one. We thought you should have some fun in this process. And so we, the selection committee of three, present these names to you, and now it's your task to decide which one will be the moniker for our bus system.
It's got to be links, right? I mean, it makes sense. You're linking neighborhoods.
Yeah, lifts already
That's an
to me
elevator.
is confusing with lift.
Lift on a bus.
When I talked to the mayor today, he didn't really have an opinion, except he did comment he thought Colts sounded like a football team, which it
is.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
I like the links part myself.
Links. Links?
I like it.
Boyd? Linda? Kendra?
Can we make it formal so we have a formal on the record?
Aaron, Michelle? It's links.
Formal on the record motion for that?
I would move that we bring forward the following name for Lebanon's all-inclusive bus service, Links.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of links, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Links has it.
Well, thank you. And I do want to say,
Links. I mean, all the great things about Links.
yeah. I do want to say thank you to Lee. She did all the legwork for this, got all the information out, collected everything. So
That's
thank
a
you
lot
to
of
her
input.
for doing the work. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
great.
when people actually engage and participate.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get them to do it sometimes.
Some people had a lot of fun with this. There were some really crazy names.
I want to see the ones that were thrown out. Yeah. That's the ones I want to see.
Some not quite suitable for public.
That's exactly the list I want to see here.
Yeah.
Forward me those. I want to take a look at those.
How do you come up with that many
Submitted a
different
couple of
names?
They did.
The one I liked best was Lebanon Looper.
Looper.
That wouldn't really do the job.
I like it.
And there was one on turkeys too, you know, so, yeah.
That was Shelley's probably.
Turkey trot
Okay.
across town?
We'll move on then to item number 5, Tyler Technology Contract Software Upgrade, presented by Frank Stevenson, Police Chief.
Thank you, sir. I don't know how to follow up with that. Rough one. All about exciting technologies talk now. So what I have before you tonight is an agreement to upgrade our current software system with Tyler Technology. Our last upgrade that we did on this system was back in 2013, and to be quite honest, it's long overdue. We've been limping it along the past 6 months, and it's time. Myself and Brent been working on this project for about a year and a half, and what this will allow us to do is it's a necessary upgrade that will allow us to keep our software system supported. For one, enhance our security levels and to get our mapping up to date and communicate reliability with the state police or law enforcement data system. The overall cost of software upgrade is approximately $102,350. With your approval tonight, what we plan on doing is starting kicking this off in January and paying for a little bit of the total cost out of this year's fiscal year. That price tag is $14,300, which I do have within our budget. Obviously, what that would mean next year is we'd have to increase this line item to pay for the remainder of the upgrade, which would be the remainder of $88,050. Brent's over here. He did a lot of work on this, and he could probably answer more of the technical questions for you, but this is a necessary upgrade to our system to keep us up and running to the level that we need to be. With that, I'll be happy to try to answer any of the questions that you have for me.
Okay, any questions from the council?
Yeah, I have one. Chief, what would you see the life expectancy of this upgrade?
Well, the last upgrade we did was, keep in mind, 2013. So it's been, 5 years since the last upgrade. That one lasted, in my opinion, a long time in technical terms. We all know technology, it's always being upgraded, but I would anticipate that this upgrade would last us for another 5 years, if not more. Yeah. And that's more of a Brent. Mainly, I'm giving this upgrade to make Brent happy. So, my IT guys, IT in the city of Lebanon, I have to say, is phenomenal. They've been able to keep us up and going in times when the system, in a sense, has crashed. But they're right there to keep it up and keep my officers happy. Because without our computers in our car, without our dispatch, it makes life difficult. So, the goal behind the upgrade is to get us up to where we need to be, but also to keep us functioning at the level.
We need to talk to the brains now for a minute.
Links, anybody?
Turn your mic on.
Thank you, Bob. I muted myself deliberately. To address the length of how long this upgrade will last, most software now is going to more of a subscription model, and we're seeing that everywhere from, when we do banking to the fire department, most of the stuff they're doing is on the web. Right now in Oregon, the laws require us to have a CAD system on site, and that is the model that we've been on this system since 1993, and it's been a really good system. They are transitioning to more frequent updates. Part of this upgrade is we were able to reduce our annual maintenance by a significant amount. I think Frank is saving about $15,000 a year moving forward with this new model. Part of that is they're going to be releasing 2 upgrades a year, which is kind of what you're seeing in other industries to keep things up. One of the biggest drivers for that is security. So there have been multiple cities across the nation in the last year who've just flat been brought down operationally, and that a lot of that is because the software is not up to where it should be. And so some of the drivers in this is we need to make sure that we're keeping secure so that they can do their job. If that doesn't happen and they're suddenly writing tickets, it becomes a lot more expensive to try and do the catch up. And so that 5-year plan, what we're doing is we're getting a major uplift to that model of a program, and that should get us for the next 5 years. 5 years from now, I expect these officers are probably going to be doing most of their work from an iPad or a mobile phone. And so the software in 5 years is going to look totally different. And what we're looking at is a window to get us to that next phase, which we really don't know what it's going to look like at this point.
Does this sit behind our own firewall?
It does, yes. What we're seeing is a lot of agencies are going to Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure. And in the last couple of years, the FBI, the 3-letter acronyms at the federal level have started really moving aggressively to the cloud. Oregon State in the last couple of years has also certified Amazon and Microsoft to live in those areas as well. And so we're seeing more and more of the functionality that operates the city is going to be moving that way. And you're seeing that definitely on the fire side as well. And so, we're right now today, we do live within our data center and behind that firewall. But just this summer, for instance, the Oregon State Police came out with a new way of looking up like a license plate. And it goes from an old type it all in capitals in a command line for the dispatchers to now they go to a web page that's secure and they can look it up and they see everything there, including a picture. That's huge for a dispatcher doing their job, or for a police officer who's trying to pull that information up on their phone or their mobile device. And so you need the ability where we can all use this cell phone in our pocket, but we also want to keep the bad guys out. And so, what that looks like, it is always changing, as it is for all of our industries. It is for your industry. It is for Jason's
We're moving
industry.
to hosted.
Yeah.
Because behind our own that's a big job.
It is, and it's very costly to do that. And so that's why I say this 5-year period, because right now the laws for Oregon say we technically can't do the hosted, but those pieces are getting built in place. One of those pieces is we use email in the cloud. So everybody here who has a city email address, that's all a Microsoft 365 email address. We moved in 2013 to go hosted, and it was one of the best things we did, because now that monkey's off our back and they help us to catch a lot of the spam and the malicious emails that come through. It's not perfect, but we have a full team who do that, and they do it for all the other government agencies. And you always have that cost of renting stuff. When it's hosted, it's a little bit more money, but if they're providing those services, it's well worth that money. Exactly. And so,
as well as it's a little different for a public entity because of the records retention laws and
right.
other things that you aren't held.
Yep.
We're held to a lot of the same standards.
Yeah, but in a different, and most corporations, let's just say, not banking necessarily, but they're not held to the same standards.
And I would expect in 5 years that Frank is probably going to be back, and we're going to be having another discussion about an upgrade, but that upgrade is going to be hosted.
Yeah. He better hope there's a different council.
We all
Just
do.
kidding. Yeah, don't we?
We all do.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So this is a 1.5-year project, and we would go into meetings, and then they would do their spiel, and then they'd leave, and I'd say, I'm not quite sure, Brent, what did they say? And he would have to explain it all over to me again.
What did they say?
No.
Well, I feel like we're very fortunate to have Brent and his staff here with our city. I don't know what we'd do without them.
Well, I've got 3 really good guys, and they've helped everybody here, and they help me the most of all. So Andy right now is in Ontario making sure that this is properly being streamed up to the web. So, thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
You.
Okay, any other questions, or I would appreciate a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Now we skip number 6 and we move on to number 7. Public Facilities Master Plan Request for Proposals. This City Hall and existing water treatment plant, presented by Gary Marks, City Manager.
Mr. President, members of the council, you're well aware that in February of 2017 you adopted 6 goals, council goals. One of those was a goal to do just this, to develop a plan for public facilities, specifically for City Hall, but we were also mindful of the fact that we'd be decommissioning the water treatment plant on 2nd, and we would need to decide how we were going to approach that property, or what the reuse would be, whether it be to sell it to the private sector or to determine if there was a public use for that property. So this RFP moves us forward towards that plan. If you approve it tonight, it will require interested parties to submit the dates in here somewhere. I think it's like January 22nd. We would be back to you probably in early February to update you on the program, and then we would have the work done by the consultant by end of June, maybe before that, and have some, hopefully, a strategy for how we're going to address the issues of City Hall. For those who might not be informed about our City Hall, it's a very old building. It's actually 3 buildings that are hobbled together. It's been used for many different things over time, including a bank. The fire department used to be there, City Hall. The police were there until 2009, and we still have some very old-looking, almost scary jail cells, the kinds you would see in a horror movie kind of thing, still there. So we have, over the last 3 decades, the council has had 3 different studies done on the building to determine its structural soundness. Each one of those has determined that the building for earthquake readiness is not. It's as far as a public facility goes, it's really not adequate for its use. And in fact, the structure is so questionable that one of the, I think it was the most recent study, recommended, and we now follow a policy that if winds establish themselves at 45 miles per hour or more, either I or the engineering services director is to evacuate the building. So the council was interested in looking at what are our options going forward. This RFP will help us evaluate the options, look at financing strategies, look at space needs analysis, and do it in a way where we bring the public into the process. Council will be updated as we move along. We budgeted money for this in the current year budget, knowing that we'd be undertaking this study. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond. And I would also add, most of the time, something like this for a request for proposals that's been put in the budget, our purchasing policies wouldn't require us to come to council, but this was a council goal. So I wanted to bring it back to you. I feel you have ownership in this, and I want to respect that. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond.
Needs to happen.
Yeah, let's go.
Go.
Do it.
Have a motion?
I'd move to approve the.
Okay, we just got a discussion down here. Are we open for a motion on this tonight? Okay.
I'd move to approve the Public Facilities Master Plan request for City Hall and 2nd Street Water Treatment Plant Facility.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Okay, now, item number 8 is the city manager's report presented by Gary Marks, city manager.
I'll start off by making you aware of something maybe you've seen if you've driven around town the last couple of days. The construction fencing has gone up at Academy Square where our new North Side Welcome Monument will be built. It's my understanding excavation starts tomorrow, so we can expect that project to start taking form. We just want to make you aware of that. Your approval of the master plan effort here means that we've acted on all 6 of this current council's goals. Being this is your last meeting as this council, I'm happy that I can report that to you. And in addition to that, because you're evaluating me tonight, I would also state that in the strategic action plan, the city had 42 action items to complete over the next 5 years, starting in April of 2016. I'm happy to report to you that we've accomplished 24. I should preface that as we complete the water treatment plant and the community garden, we will be at 24 of the 42. So well on our way, about 2.5 years into the effort to making a substantial completion of that strategic plan document. So other things are reported to you in my city manager's report from all of the various departments. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond.
Any questions from the council? Okay, we'll move on. Now it's time for items from the council. Anyone have anything they want to talk about?
No?
I do.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to thank Bob and thank Floyd for your service. I think you guys have set the bar high for the incoming counselors, and you've been a real joy to work with for me. I've learned a lot from both of you and had good fights and good experiences with both of you too. So I appreciate your service and I appreciate what you've done for me and for this council and the city. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that. That's...
I'd just like to say it's been a long road. There's been some good times and some bad times. When I first started in 2002, some of the council meetings went past midnight, and yeah, it was hard going at that time. We had kind of a divided council, and if the mayor hadn't had the right to vote in case of a tie, we'd never gotten anything done. But it's calmed down. We've got a good council now, and everything's going good. I want to throw one thing out, kind of a challenge to everyone. I've been on the council for 16 years. I've missed 2 council meetings. One of them was when my wife passed away that day. And the second one was in a trip for premising to Pasco, Washington that got all fouled up and I didn't get back in time. So those are the only 2. I'd like to see somebody do this, break my record.
Good luck, Bob.
Hey, I won't be on the first line anymore, but I will be in the background. I'm going to keep an eye on you, believe me. And I've got quite a few irons in the fire, some things that I'm going to do. So, and I still serve on 3 boards that are not connected to the city. So I'll still be active. So watch out, I'm watching you.
Just think, Bob, you don't have to go on the computer to look at the packet.
That's right. That's right. That'll be a relief. But it's been a joy working with all of you, I'll tell you. Even it's just been real good.
Even Rebecca.
Yeah, I was going to say even Rebecca. But I've enjoyed it, and lots of luck. I know that I've got a very good replacement to represent Ward 3 and Michelle. So everything will go fine there, I'm sure. So,
Bob, I'd like to also add, Floyd and Bob, it's been an honor to serve you as your city manager. I love my job, and I'm grateful that you were part of the council that hired me and made it possible for me to serve here. So thank you. Thank you for your service.
Sure. Floyd, do you have anything?
Well, what do you say? I will miss this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers of things that are of particular interest to me, even sewer pipes and those kind of things. But the people, I've enjoyed, like I say, some of the disagreements. You learn from them. It makes stronger solutions. I'm still going to be in this town. I may be just slightly out of the city limits, but I'll still be the zip code. You'll probably see me for something. I'll come and complain about something maybe, but I still have property in Ward 2 even, so I still have a keen interest in things that will
Just remember, Karen is your new counselor.
Yes. So what's the phone number?
Yeah.
So, anyways, it has not always been fun, but it's always been challenging. And, I look back and this city, from 1994 when I came on board, we've seen a huge change. We were, still a kind of a devastated timber town. And a lot of the decisions were made by staff and the council have resulted in a vital community that people want to be a part of. We all should be proud of that. And I really believe that the momentum will continue. And I just am excited about the potential and the prospects for the city as we go forward. So,
Hear, hear.
Yes.
Looking forward to having you on the Arts Commission.
Hey, at a totally different level.
At like
like to also say that I really appreciate working with you, Bob and Floyd. So you've made my life a lot easier and
harder.
And I wouldn't say that. It's been a real pleasure for me, and I've been with you the whole time as well. So we've kind of been in this together. So I will miss you both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to miss both of you. I look back at the time when we were all three fairly young on the council, and as Floyd said, we came through some rough water.
Yeah.
But what I really appreciate about the culture of this council in most recent years is that, yeah, we have disagreements, but when we walk out of here, we walk out as a team and we come back as the same team with no hard feelings, and we do what we can for the citizens of this community, and that's what we're elected to do.
Mm-hmm. Well put.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of this. Now we're open for public comments again, an opportunity for citizens to comment on items of city business. Bill?
Bill? I just got a comment. I disagree with this young lady on the transportation blaming a motor vehicle and a bicyclist getting...
You got to turn on your mic there, Bill.
There's a blue light. Oh, there's a red light. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong district.
The wrong district.
Come on, Bill.
Okay. I disagree with this young lady on the transportation blaming the automobile on the bicyclist getting banged up. My understanding, a couple of days ago when I got my driver's license, the bicycle and the automobile was the same right of way. Same thing. But some of these bicyclists think they own the damn road. They don't pay attention. They don't signal. They just go out there and do whatever they want. And then we get blamed for it. That's all I got to say about that.
I couldn't agree more.
I had to make Jason's evening.
Thank you, Bill. I missed you in your comments, Bill.
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on. Items from the press. You got anything? Okay. Our next scheduled council meetings, first one is January 9th, 2019, 6 p.m., regular session. And then February the 13th, 2019, at 6 p.m., regular session. And now we're going to adjourn the regular session